What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai, everyone here bringing another video. Today I'm bringing a video on Uchuu Sentai Kyuranger episode 28. This episode is called the BN Thieves Disbanded. And I'll tell you this much right now, it was actually a pretty good episode. A bunch of things happened. It definitely progressed the story. Again, as I said last episode, I was expecting this episode to be one that would have a big emphasis on progression, and it's one that progressed both for the cast in the future as well as the cast in other words, the cast in the present and also the cast in the past. So the episode, basically what happens is it starts off with us seeing that Naga is Naga is attacking a number of endeavors. We see Akibamba, who is, just watching over him, attacking, and he feels amazing after attacking all these endeavors. And we also see Kaklugler, who is the other Vice Shogun, who again will be more important. Who will be more important soon, and apparently all the Vice Shogun are supposed to appear again next episode as well. But I just wanted to mention this, that what happens is that he ends up doing all that fighting, and he's building up his emotions and unleashing them. Eventually, we end up seeing the other Kyurangers. Balance ends up extending his neck to look for Naga, and eventually they end up getting a distress call, basically saying that Naga is attacking. So they go out to try to deal with Naga. He does lots of attacks or whatever, and they keep on trying to fight him, and each time they keep on fighting him, someone transforms. Eventually, what happens is that they're being told, a bunch of the Kyurangers talk to Akianba about, like, what can we do to get Naga back, and she keeps on saying you have to hurt him. Balance keeps on fighting, but Balance does not want to really hurt Naga because of how close he is. But at the same time, they realize they really have to do it. Thing is that this battle keeps on going on, and eventually what happens is that a character known as Echidna shows up and stops them in battle using the Hibitsukai system's ability to allow for paralysis, and lets them run away, since Naga is using a number of his using an attack that could have actually destroyed them, but they managed to get away. So what happens is that following this, the Kyurangers do get away. They do end up talking to Echidna, and she mentions how she's come to actually destroy Naga, and it's because of the fact that he's showing emotions, and that would damage the world of their system or whatever. So she has to come, and technically Balance is considered worse than Naga is, because of the fact that he's the one that led Naga down the path of wanting to have emotion, and they're not supposed to have it. So he's considered responsible for Naga's issue. So what happens is, though, that they feel like they can't listen to her, but at the same time they do understand where she's coming from. Eventually we end up seeing the other Kyurangers in the past, and they end up traveling to the location of the final battle against Don Armage. We end up seeing Tsurugi, Kiervo, and someone else who we'll get to know him in the next episode. I believe he is supposed to be Orion, but I'm not 100% sure. And they're all getting ready to fight. We see Kiervo get destroyed, like we saw in the whole entire backstory of him, and then we see Tsurugi go in and finish off Don Armage, which basically makes them think that Don Armage does get destroyed, and they're confused. But then they realize they have to go to Orion to figure out things, and Orion obviously is the original Kyuranger, and so they have to so they end up traveling in their ship, but the thing is that there's an attack going on, and the ship's in bad shape, so they end up having to crash land. So then what happens, but then it flashes back to the present day, and they are all talking to each other, and they realize that they have to fight him, and that they have to fight Naga, and Balance doesn't really want to fight him, but Lucky keeps on reminding him that you're the reason why he wanted to have emotion. He wants to have emotion so that you're happy, Balance, and he wants you to feel good, and we want you to feel good. And basically, they try to comfort Balance in every way. Because again, Balance is really the closest thing Naga has to a friend out of all of them, and they basically try to reassure him, and eventually they realize that yes, they're willing to attack him and do anything they can to get Naga back. So eventually Naga continues to fight, and that's when the Kyurangers decide to return and go into battle. The Kyurangers attack him several times over, and at one point Yanba talks to the Kyurangers again, and they say, what can we do to stop him? And basically she says again, you have to attack him. You might have to attack him really badly to the point that he may die, and that's the only way that you can solve it. So what ends up happening though is that Balance ends up fighting with Naga, and at one point Balance ends up getting into a position where he could basically destroy him, and he decides instead, since he knows that Naga could try to run away, is that he uses an attack that could technically take them both out. And he uses this attack, holds down Naga to make sure he doesn't get away, and this attack manages to cause both Naga and Balance to lose their ability to transform temporarily because of the fact that they got hurt so badly, and it could have been to the point that they would have died, but they didn't. So then what happens is that Balance hopes that maybe that would have actually put some sense into him. Doesn't do a single thing really. It just infuriates him a little bit more, and he just becomes the same. And they basically say, there's not much. Akiyanba says, do you really think I would tell you how to stop him from being the way he is? There's no way. And basically she hides the real way that he can be cured. So what happens is that eventually there's not much they can do. They try several attacks, and at one point or another they do get away. What ends up happening following this is that suddenly some bigger endeavors end up being summoned. The Daikon or whatever get summoned, I believe it is, or what is it? The Mega Soyo Endeavors get summoned, and they get summoned, and what happens is that they realize that they only have a couple of them. Again, they could use all the Kyurangers, but they decided this episode, rather than using all 6 of the Kyurangers that currently exist on the team, they decided to use 3 of them. I believe that's right, yeah. Instead of using the 5 Kyurangers that they have on the team, they decided to not use Balance or Kotaro. So what happens is that Hammy, Garu, and Lucky are left to fight these Mega Endeavors that are huge. And what they decided to do is they use the Gemini Kyotama, which leads to both Hammy and Garu having doubles of themselves, and they actually use it in in Kurano, and they use it to summon forth a Kurano that actually has two of Garu's Voyagers and 2 of Hammy's Voyagers, which is cool because it's showing something that the show hadn't shown at all, but is a thing. Like, you can have multiple of each of the Voyagers. You can have like a full set of 4 Voyagers and be able to use them for both arms and both legs. So they actually have it where, like, there's 2, like 1 leg and 1 arm of Hammy's and 1 leg and 1 arm of Garu's Voyagers that are used, and it's really cool to see that because it's something that is nice to see and something that they didn't have to do, but the fact that they did it shows that they're like able to promote it in the show, and it's something nice that's just cool to know that they actually were willing to do it, and I appreciate it because not everyone knows that is a thing. Like, they're completely interchangeable. It could, any one of them could become the left, the right, the left arm, or the right arm, or the left leg, or the right leg. Any Voyager that's of the core group of 9 can do that. So anyway, well, anyone except for Shishi Red, basically. Following this, they destroy them, and then they get a distress call basically saying that the Orion's in the area and something bad has happened. They end up seeing the Orion in serious damage, and that's when Lucky remembers how They thought that, you know, if anything really happens that's bad in the past, then it could really cause a problem for the future. And in this case, they end up seeing that the Orion's been destroyed, or at least been very badly damaged. So that's when we see them flashing back to the past, where we end up seeing the character that I believe might be Orion standing there, and we also see that the Kyurangers of the past, in the past, are on the ground and look as if they had been defeated or been really badly injured in battle. So the episode basically ends there. The preview for the next episode basically shows the Kyurangers of the present meeting the character that looks like who may end up being Orion. And again, this will eventually lead into Shishi Red Orion form, which, again, that is just a power-up form for Lucky. It isn't that Orion is going to become another Kyuranger. That was something that I was not exactly sure whether or not that was 100% true, but yeah, it basically is. And what it looks like is that we're also going to get to see all the Vice Shogun show up. I don't know if that's going to be for the future or the past. I believe it's supposed to be for the past. I'm not 100% sure, but it should be interesting. And again, it's going to keep on progressing the story. Again, I don't know when Naga will become good again, but I'm sure that there will be some point where something like that will happen. Also, I don't know when exactly the fourth mecha, which is Shishi Red Orion's mecha, is going to be added to the show, but he should be coming probably a couple weeks after, or like a week or so after Shishi Red Orion gets put into the actual show. Again, he hasn't even been introduced in the show, but because we're seeing this other character that was shown off at the end of this episode, it is likely that we'll be seeing this new that we'll be seeing the new form for Lucky probably in the next couple episodes. And also there was a recent image that was shown up with a high resolution image of that form of Lucky's, which means now, since we're getting high resolution images of Shishi Red Orion, that means that most likely we're gonna probably be getting that form like by either episode 30 or episode 31, I would imagine. Maybe next episode, but I am pretty doubtful it will be that soon. Probably in the next like 2 or 3 episodes we should be getting that form, and then eventually a couple episodes, or maybe the episode that Shishi Red Orion's introduced, we'll be getting his Voyager. Again, don't know anything for a fact, but I just wanted to review this. I'd love to know your guys' opinions. Did you enjoy this episode? What did you think of it? When do you think that Naga will return to good? Do you think he'll actually return to good? What do you think will lead him back to the side of good? And also, do you think that when he turns good, his powers as, in his metal form will transfer over and he'll have pure energy that will be good? Or do you think that these powers will be destroyed with the dark form that he has? I'd love to know your guys' opinions. Please remember to comment, subscribe, and tell me what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, guys, I'm Crazy Samurai 71, and goodbye, guys.